Let me just start the recording so we can, okay, go with the topics that we need to work on today. Okay, so as you can see, we are in the fifth session. Today, we're gonna dedicate our class for the topics for this week. And this is today is December 2nd, so sorry for the mistake there. And what we are going to do today, let's start with the today's program. So first of all, as you already know, we're going to talk about the goal of this week. Then we're going to review the last week topics. We're going to we're going to do a practical activity. I have an idea in this case, but I don't know if we can do it because we are just a few of us. Then we're going to have a space for doubts. We're going to talk about the next week activities. We are going to have a summing up or just a summary of the things that we need to deliver for the next week. And then again, at the end of the class, we're going to have another space for doubts. So the goal of today's session is that we will make a general review of the main topics seen in Unit 6, Unit 7, and Unit 8 on the Cambridge platform, which were the units that you had to complete for yesterday, Monday. So let's start. Let's start with the last week activities, the things that we review in the last class. In terms of vocabulary, we were talking about words for describing opinions and reactions, the ED words and the ANG words. You also worked with a vocabulary for making decisions and plans. Just let me remember some of the vocabulary because I don't have them fresh in my mind. I have here the document. Let me just go there. Okay, unit 4, vocabulary. Okay, ED words, amusing, surprised, surprising. In the second lesson you learn vocabulary to making decisions and plans, as arrange, check, deal with, get in touch with. You also review a vocabulary for, let me just remember here. Okay. Okay, like appear, discover, for losing and finding things, locate, leave, return, search for. Then you also review vocabulary for needing and giving help. In this case, I remember that it was like, let me just go again because well, that kind of vocabulary, because you know we're gonna stop here too much time, or we're gonna spend here too much time. Then for the grammar review, I think that last week was a very important week because we reviewed some important facts about the future in general. You worked on predictions with be going to and also with will. You also work with will for sudden decisions, and also you worked with present continuous to talk about future plans. As I told you in that class, we also have another ways, or we have other ways to talk about the future. We made a quick review about all the ways in which we can talk about the future. We also said that we can use present to talk about future. We have here be going to. We have here present continuous. We reviewed some of the uses for will, and you also learned how to talk about the future with be, verb to be, and all those kind of things. As I told you there, I think this is a very important topic, because usually we tend to use will in all the cases in which we need to talk about the future. We tend to use will because it's the way in which we learn how to talk about the future. But in English, as in Spanish, we have other ways to to say that kind of things. For example, in this case, as predictions. Sure, we can say short predictions and weaker predictions, stronger predictions and weaker predictions, and so on. Then, in terms of verbs, you work with a simple past, and also you made a contrast, or you worked on a contrast between the simple past and the past continuous. And also, an important thing that I remember now is that you worked with simple past and past continuous in relationship. In sentences in which you can use both of those, both verbs. Uh, Past continuous when the action is an ongoing action in the past, or you had an ongoing, you have an ongoing action in the past, and of course you use when. For example, when I was cooking when I was cooking dinner, or when I was making dinner, the phone rang, and then you use the simple past to interrupt that ongoing situation. And I think that this is an important grammar issue that you need to learn how to deal with. So I think the last week you reviewed a very important grammar topics that you need to remember worked on in the future. For today, for today class, we need to review Unit 6, Unit 7, and Unit 8. Okay, you had to deliver 3 units. Kind of a lot of work you had to do for today. So the first one, which is Unit 6, we have here 2 lessons. Lesson 1, which is moving to a mega city, and then Lesson 2, which is intelligent students. In this case, for vocabulary, you learn vocabulary for urban problems and also adverbs of manner. In this case, I think most important in vocabulary terms is urban problems, because probably adverbs of manner you had already worked with them in previous courses. So I don't think you should have had problems with those kind of words. Adverbs are kind of easy. We're going to review some of them in a minute. And in terms of grammar, you have important things, quantifiers. Quantifiers was an easy topic, I think, because you didn't learn all the quantifiers, but you learned some of them, and you reviewed a specific point. For example, when to use, or what kind of quantifiers you can use with countable nouns, and also what kind of quantifiers you use with uncountable nouns, and when you can use, or which quantifiers you can use with both of them, with countable and with uncountable nouns. Then in the second lesson, I think you learn the most important grammatical issue of this unit. And I think in and I think also in the 3 units that you have to deliver for today, probably this is the more important topic, which is present and future real conditionals. In formal terms, and I want to stop here because I think this is very important. For B1 level, you need to manage all the conditionals. And we have too many forms in conditionals, for conditionals, sorry, in English. You have they have other kind of names. You see here present and future real conditionals, but in reality, or in formal speaking, or in terms of grammar, they call them a zero conditional, first conditional, second conditional, third conditional, mixed conditional type 1, and mixed conditional type 2. So in reality, in English, you need to learn 6 conditionals. You only reviewed here 2 of them, the first 2 of them. The zero conditional, which is the present conditional in this case, and you learn the first conditional, which is the future real conditional. So this was an important grammar topic in this unit. So if you don't if you didn't pay enough attention to this grammatical point, I really recommend you to go back to that unit, or if you can't, you can use the material that I uploaded to Blackboard, because I think this is a very important issue. Okay, probably the most difficult grammatical issue for intermediate students are conditionals, because you not only need to know how to create complex sentences, but also in this case you have to remember a lot of things. The combination of the verbs, for example, in present conditionals, if you remember, you have to use present in the if clause and then present in the main clause. So we have, in both cases, in both sentences, we need to use the present tense. But for the first conditional, which is the future real conditional in this case, you need to use future and present. So we have here fixed relations between the verbs, because always when we are talking about the zero conditional, we always need to use the verbs in the present tense. And when we are talking about the first conditional, always we need to use the present and the future tense. In the PDF that I uploaded to the Cambridge platform, you are going to find all the conditionals. So you are going to learn that for the second conditional, you need to use, for example, a simple past and the tense verb that they call sometimes a present conditional. And for the third conditional, you need to use a past perfect and what they call the perfect conditional, the perfect conditional tense. You didn't saw or those conditionals here, so I don't think this is a very important issue right now. But I think it's important for you to know all the conditional, all the ways in which you can structure a conditional sentence. So this is a very important grammatical issue in this unit. So please review that unit again if you didn't pay enough attention, or if you can't, as I told you before, go to the document that I shared with you in the platform. For the unit 7, we have again 2 lessons. The first one is a 50-year playlist, and then in the second one we have the best entertainment. I think this was the most easy, the easiest unit from this week, because you learned vocabulary that probably you have already known before. You learned vocabulary about music, genres of music, then some vocabulary for TV shows and movies, which I think they were kind of easy. So I think this is this was the most the easiest unit of the 3 that you have to deliver for today. Then for grammatical, in terms of grammar, you learn also how to talk about habits in the past using used to. Also, a grammatical thing that I think that it's easier, because you probably have already learned this point in other courses. So probably the most complex grammar point that you reviewed in this unit was the fourth one that we have here, which is comparisons with note, as, and as. Specifically, the combinations that we can use with those with those particles. For example, as plus adjective plus as plus adverb plus as, and then as many and as much plus noun and as. And I think this was the most complex thing in this unit 7, comparisons. The other ones, I think they were kind of easy. So we're going to review them in a minute, but I don't think you had any problems with those topics. Then for unit 8, you had 3 lessons. The first one was saying and doing. The second one was started but not finished. And the fourth one, because remember again, in this case, we don't have a lesson 3, We have a time-saving tip. What did you learn? What did you learn in those lessons? Well, in the first one, you learn vocabulary for describing experiences. In the second one, you learn vocabulary for describing progress. And then, well, the fourth one, we're gonna let that at the end because we're gonna leave that at the end because we need. This was about listening and writing skills. So let's focus on the first two, describing experiences and describing progress. And in terms of grammar, again, something that I think it's kind of easy because it is probably that for this point, I don't know. Probably some of you haven't reviewed this topic profoundly because it's kind of difficult, but let's see. Present perfect continuous and present perfect and the normal present perfect. What did I say that probably you had already learned those topics because this is a verbal issue. And usually, for this point, we can manage almost all the conjugations of the verbs. I'm going to talk about it a little bit about it. Remember that in terms of verbs, we can say that we need to learn three ways of conjugations. The simple conjugations, for example, simple past, simple present, simple future, present perfect, past perfect, and future perfect. Those are the simple forms of the conjugation of the conjugated paradigm, for example. But then you also need to learn how to conjugate those verbs in its continuous form. For example, present continuous, past continuous, future continuous, past perfect continuous, present perfect continuous, and future perfect continuous. Okay, and those are the two main paradigms of the conjugation topic. The simple tenses, and the continuous tenses. But then, of course, you also need to conjugate all those tenses, or you need to learn how to conjugate all those tenses in its passive form, which is another topic. We are not going to go into that one, okay? But in this case, at this point, usually you need or you must know how to conjugate any kind of verb in the simple forms and in the continuous forms. Simple forms, simple past, simple present, simple future, past perfect, present perfect, and future perfect. And in its continuous forms, past continuous, present continuous, future continuous, past perfect continuous, present perfect continuous, and future perfect continuous. So usually for these points, we don't need to, or we shouldn't have any problems to conjugate the verbs in these forms. But if not, you reviewed present perfect and present perfect continuous in this unit, which is again, I think, kind of an easy topic for this point, but I don't know. And then in the lesson 4, you reviewed some strategies for listening and some strategies for writing. In the first point, listening point, you worked for gist and examples. How to locate the gist of a listening and how to locate the examples in a listening. This is a very important strategy if you want to apply or if you want to do an academic exam like TOEFL and IELTS, because in those kind of exams, they are going to ask you to identify gist and examples of listening and of reading. So I think this is an important point of the unit. Of course, as I told you before with the previous units, I think that in this case, Cambridge platform is not enough. Okay, if you want to learn how to identify the gist or how to identify examples, or if you want to practice to identify the gist and examples of a text or of a listening, probably you need to search for a specialized book. For example, a book for TOEFL preparation or a book for IELTS preparation, in which you are going to find out more examples and probably more specific strategies to determine the gist and the examples of listening or of a writing. You also worked on guessing meaning from context words. Again, this is another strategy that is going to be very useful if you want to apply for if you want to do a TOEFL exam or an IELTS exam, because again, this is a strategy that you need to manage in order to answer some questions, okay? Because in some cases, they will ask you for I don't know, guessing the meaning of word that you can guess by the context, by the words that the word is surrounded by, okay? So you need to look at the words that surround the word, and then you can guess the meaning. So that's guessing meaning from the context. And at the end, you learn in the writing section how to use time expressions. A very few time expressions I have to say, okay? But okay, we can work with that in this point of the course. But again, as I told you before, I think that in this case, these kind of lessons need more material. So it is useful, or it would be good for you if you search for specialized books, sorry, or also to watch some videos in YouTube about these kind of strategies, because you have there a lot of material, videos in which videos in which the teacher or whoever is in trying to explain this kind of points, they give a lot of strategies to identify the gist and also to identify examples, for example, or how to guess meaning from the context too. So I think you need to search for that kind of material. Okay, the practical activity I want to do two activities, but I don't know if we're gonna have time. The first one, just let me go for the. Or just let's do the other one, because I think I have told you everything that we need to know or we need to remember about the units. Okay, probably just to close, just let me go there, because probably we need to do this. Let's do this as quick as we can. I want you to go to the presentation in which we have been working on the topics for the units. Let me just share with you again the link. And in this case, I'm not gonna ask you for anything special. Probably I'm gonna stop a little bit more in the conditional subject, just to review that. But I want you to write in the three main, in the three blue slides. You have here Unit 6, Unit 7, and Unit 8. All the things that you can remember about, or the things that you worked on those units, okay? Vocabulary, and also grammatical issues. I share with you the link in the chat. So go here, please, or come here, please, to the document. Because I want you to do the activity with the video, so because we're gonna work with the vocabulary. So probably in this case, in Unit 6, Unit 7, and Unit 8, just go for the grammar points. For example, in Unit 6, remember that we reviewed quantifiers and present and future real conditionals. So please write some grammatical examples or probably some words that you remember about those topics. For example, which are the quantifiers? Or what is the classification for the quantifiers? Which kind of quantifiers do we use with countable nouns, with uncountable nouns, and with both of them? In Unit 7, you worked with used to and comparisons. So please write some examples or some grammatical points about these structures. Used to and not as, for example. And in the last unit, you worked with a present perfect continuous and present perfect. So I want you to write some examples about present continuous and present perfect, and probably some characteristics of both of them. When do we use present perfect, and when do we use present perfect continuous, for example? So please write as quick as you can, the most information that you can in the slides, please. I only see two persons in the presentation, so two people, sorry, in the presentation. So if the other ones can go to the Google presentation, so you can share with me your answers. So start. I'm waiting. Okay, I'm not seeing you writing anything, so please, if you want to write something. Time expressions immediately, so far, before, from now, or from now on. Okay. Present perfect and present perfect continuous. In this case, the most important grammatical issue. In Unit 6, there is a lot of apples. Okay. Countable and uncountable nouns. This is a countable noun. A lot of, we can use both with both of with both type of nouns. A lot of. Another one. Unit 7, remember, used to. I used to play guitar when I was 15, for example. And also comparisons, as I told you before, as quick as possible. That's kind of comparison. I don't know, my my I don't know. My new dictionary is as good as the old one. For example, another one comparison. The Unit 7. If I feel good, I go to the party. Well, if I feel good, I go to the party. This is why I want you, that's why I want to do a lot of things. I don't know if we're gonna have time. Do you remember in which cases do we use present plus present? Because remember also, that's another trick for conditionals. We have 6 conditionals, not because just I want to have 6 conditionals or just because English needs 6 conditionals, but because each of the conditional expresses a specific kind of meaning. So for example, when we have conditionals with present plus present, do you remember in which cases do we use these kind of conditionals? Present plus present, because in the second one we have present plus future. Do you remember what is the difference between both structures? I've been eating a lot of cake. Okay, I've been eating a lot of cake. Exactly. This is future present perfect continuous. And present perfect, what is the difference? For example, in this case, if someone wants to speak, also you can open your microphone if you want. For example, what is the difference between I've been eating a lot of cake and I've eaten a piece of cake? What is the difference between the the present perfect continuous and the present perfect? Used to plus verb describe actions that happen regularly in the past. Thank you very much. I used to have more free time. Excellent. I used to have more time. Could you please write the person who wrote this sentence? Could you please write the negative form of this sentence and also the question form of this sentence? I used to have more free time, and then the negative would be, and I'm waiting for the other answers. What is the difference between present plus present conditional and present plus future conditional? What is the difference in terms of meaning? This is a very important thing to manage the conditionals in a correct way. What is the meaning, or what is the difference between these both structures for conditionals? And also the other question, what is the difference between I've been eating a lot of cake and I've eaten a piece of cake? Who wants to answer? I didn't used to have more free time, thank you. And did you used to have more free time? Exactly. Very good. You need to remember that always in the affirmative sentence, we need to conjugate the verb use in its past form. And then, of course, we need to use the auxiliary for the past tense in the negative sentence and also in the question sentence. Future is for future possibilities in conditions. Thank you. And the present, present plus present. Remember that in formal terms, present plus present, just let me return to the presentation. Present plus present is going to be the zero conditional. And present plus future is the first conditional. So you can also remember those structures in that way. Zero conditional, present plus present. First conditional, present plus future. But in terms of meaning, you said one factor about the present plus future plus future. Real possibilities in the future. But present plus present. Thank you. Exactly. Luis Berrocal explained the future, the present perfect, and also the present perfect continuous. Exactly. Remember that, for example, when I say I've eaten a piece of cake, it means that the action is finished. And there is no more cake. There is no more piece of cake. I've already eaten the piece of cake. So it is not, it doesn't exist anymore. Okay, the piece of cake is gone. When I say I've been eating a lot of cake, it is probably that the cake or some part of the cake is still in the table or in whichever you have the cake. So this is an ongoing situation. It is probably that the action started in the past. I don't know, probably an hour ago I started to eat the cake. Then I will eat until this point in which it is probably that I'm still eating the cake, and it is probably that I'm going to continue eating the cake in the, I don't know, next minutes or in the next hour. So the ongoing situation has that kind of meaning, okay, that the situation is unfinished, but in the present perfect, the action is finished. The piece of cake doesn't exist anymore. Okay, I've just eaten the piece of cakes. So that's the important thing that you need to remember between the present continuous, the present perfect continuous, and the present perfect. And what about this one? Okay, present plus present, zero conditional, present plus future, first conditional. Important fact for the conditionals. Do you remember the difference between both structures? When do we use the zero conditional, or when do we use the first conditional? The first conditional, Junwen told the meaning in the, no, this is not the, yes. When she said future is for future possibilities in conditions. Exactly. Present plus future, first conditional, future possibilities. If um, if I finish my homework, play, for example. Which other? Present plus present and present plus future. Any idea? Okay, I'm gonna tell you this because if not, we're gonna stuck here a lot of time. So first of all, you need to remember that present plus present is zero conditional. No, the present plus present is the zero conditional, and it is used to talk about facts or general truths or things that we are sure that they are related in the reality. For example, usually present plus present conditionals are usually used to talk about um, scientific facts. If you heat water, it boils. It's a general truth, it's a general fact. Here and in China, if you heat water, the water boils. So that's why zero conditional is kind of difficult to find in normal speech or in spoken speech, because usually we don't talk about these kind of facts and obvious things, okay, or obvious things. So zero conditional is for obvious things, facts, and things that are always true. Uh, Present plus future, which is the first conditional, exactly. If I walk under the rain, I get wet. I get exactly. That's the way in which we use the zero conditional. The first conditional is talking about future possibilities which are very probable to happen. Okay, if I finish my homework, I will go for a walk, for example. If I don't know, if I go to the store, I will buy apples. It's because I want apples in this moment. So in this case, future, the first conditional is used for things that we are sure, or we are mostly sure that they are going to happen. Because when we go to the second conditional and with the third conditional, we are talking about unreal possibilities. That's an important thing that you need to remember. Zero conditional and first conditional are very attached to the reality. Okay, usually they mean something that we can corroborate in the reality. But the second conditional and third conditional, they are called the unreal conditionals because they are about things that they are really they are not probable. I mean, it's very difficult for them to be real. Let's make an example. If I won the lottery, I would buy a house. That's the second conditional. If I won the lottery, I would buy a house, for example. If I won the lottery is the condition, and then I would buy a house is the result. Okay, and it is very unlikely to happen because in the first place I need to win the lottery. But in this case, it is very unlikely that I won the I win the lottery. So that's why I say if I won the lottery, and then of course if it is not possible that I win the lottery, if I buy a fries, exactly, no, because fries no. But you need to be very careful there because like a second conditional, no, second conditional is has another structure. Let me just write that quickly so we can go to. We are not going to have time to do the other activity. So present plus present, zero conditional. Present plus future, first conditional. If I finish my homework, I will go for a walk. This is the first conditional. But the second conditional is past, simple past plus present conditional. And this is the second condition. Which is if I won the lottery, I will buy two houses, for example. This is the second conditional. And the third conditional is past perfect plus perfect conditional. This is the third conditional, which is if I had known his number, I would have called him. Okay, so these are the structures for the conditionals, and this is a very important topic, as I told you before. Okay, you need to remember the combination of the verbs, in which conjugation form is the first verb, and then in which conjugation form is the second verb, because this is a fixed structure. Okay, all the time that you want to use a zero conditional, a first conditional, a second conditional, or a third conditional, you must conjugate the verbs in those forms. So be very careful with that, okay? If I won the lottery, I would buy. In this case, I made a mistake. In this case, I would. Okay, and as you can see, the second conditional and the third conditional are the unreal conditional because the actions that are expressed in those conditionals are impossible to happen. Or not impossible, but very unlikely. Well, in the first case, in the second conditional, it's very unlikely. In the third conditional, they're impossible because third conditional is about the past. If I had known his number, si yo hubiera sabido su número, but the reality is that I didn't know his number. So I cannot change the past. I cannot change the things that happen or the actions that happen in the past, the situations that happen in the past. That's why the third conditional is the most unreal conditional possible, because we can't change the past. So if I had known his number is um, a hypothetical event in the past, which is not possible anymore because past is the past. And then I would have called him is the hypothetical result if the hypothetical situation happened in the past. Okay, that's why the third conditional is the most unreal of the conditionals, because they refer to the past, but past cannot change. The second conditional, it is unlikely to happen that I won the lottery, but there is a chance. Okay, probably a very little chance, but there is a chance. So and in the first conditional, we have a real possibility. If I finish my homework, I will go for a walk, probably because this is my routine. For example, I need to finish my homework in order to go for the walk. So if I finish my homework, I will go for a walk. Okay, so this is important. Also, this is why I like to review all the conditionals together, because we can see the relationship between them. If you go to from the zero conditional to the third conditional, you can notice that zero conditional is the most real conditional, and third conditional is the most unreal conditional. So we go from a real condition to an unreal condition. Okay, and also because we can see the relationship between the verbs. Zero conditional is real, so we use present plus present. First conditional is still real, but we have we start to see a possibility. So future present plus future, and as Junwen said before, future means that something is possible in the future. Okay, then we go with the second conditional, simple past and present conditional. We are using here some verbs which are not connected with the present. So in this case, we are talking about possibilities. So from the second conditional to the third conditional, we are talking about unlikely situations, or definitely unreal situations, as in the third conditional. I really recommend you to review the PDF that I uploaded to the Blackboard platform, because there you're going to find out more details about these structures, and you are going to also find out some information about the mixed conditionals, and also other kind of structures that we are not seeing here, but it's important for you to know them, which is not exactly a conditional, but very similar to the conditional, which is the verb wish, and also the structure if only. Okay, so the PDF that I shared with you contains all this information. So I really recommend you to review that PDF. Okay, let's return to the presentation, because if not, we're not going to finish the class. Okay, the other exercise was to do was related with this. I want you to listen to the next video, because I think it's very important for us also to ground all the things that you are learning in the Cambridge platform in some real material. In this case, I found this video, which is about megacities. As you can see, you can you have here some of the vocabulary of this sixth unit, and you are also going to hear a lot of the vocabulary that you worked on that unit. So I think it's important for you to get in touch with some material in which you can hear the structures and the vocabulary that you have learned in the previous units. So that's why I want you to listen to the next video and write down as many words as you can that you recognize from this week's vocabulary lessons. In this case, as I told before, you worked with urban vocabulary. So if you can do the exercise, I don't know, tomorrow or whenever you have any free time, please do the activity. Listen to the video and try to recognize the words that you have learned throughout this week. Sorry, I want to go to the other. Okay, any questions until this point about the conditionals, for example, or anything you want to ask? No? Okay. Okay, next week activities, we have again 2 units. Unit 9, make it work. Unit 10, why we buy. We're going to have 4 activities. The first one, as you already know, the students course, the general activity. Unit 9, make it work. And Unit 10, why we buy. And then we have the progress test. The progress test for Unit 9 and the progress test for Unit 10. Each of these activities is worth 0.50, and then at the end of the week you need to gain 2 points out of the that we have at the end of the module. Okay, so 4 activities, easy, and each of the activities worth 0.50. Okay, uh, again, the general points that you need to remember. Check your time, try to do the activities. Also remember that I received the instruction to reopen all the previous activities. So you have all the previous activities reopened. So if you hadn't done them on time, please try to complete all the previous activities. I also remember I don't have access to all your answers. These the scores are generated automatically. And okay, have you had any problem with Cambridge platform? Because again, I received a message in which some student told me that she or he, I don't remember, they didn't or couldn't open the platform. But I don't know if you had any of this problem. Problems with the platform? Anyone? Anything? No? Okay, everything is okay. Okay, let's do a summary. Junwen,
Hi.
could you please help me with the summary of this week about
Well,
the activities for next?
we have to do the unit 9 and 10.
Mhm.
Yeah, and the progress test of each by Sunday, early Monday.
By Monday, exactly, and also the general activity. Yeah. So we need to deliver 4 activities. Could you please tell me how many points each activity worth?
0.50.
0.50 exactly. So be careful with that. And again, any question about this, about the activities that you need to deliver for next week, for Monday at 3 a.m.? Anything? Okay, then if you don't have any questions, thank you very much for being here. Remember to do the exercises, and I don't know, comments, anything. If you don't have anything to say, then see you on Tuesday.